In this case, we're looking to cross-sell a segment of customers. So again, we're kind of an e-commerce company. So here, let's say we just came out with a new product line, which would be apparel. And let's say our kind of core product is travel related. And so we want to kind of encourage our existing customer base to purchase our new apparel line. So the way we start out is we define this audience. So in this case, we're not too concerned about any kind of maybe demographic filters like we had before in terms of app downloaded, but we might want to create transaction-based filters because we're looking to cross-sell the actual product. So in this case, we want to make sure that they have a travel subscription. And again, this is now using a transactions table that would be present in your customer data warehouse and would be connected to the GrowthLoop tool. So you can kind of use this to define our travel subscribers. And then we want to filter for no apparel transactions ever. So we use the same transactions table, and we make sure they have 0 transactions where the product type is equal to apparel. And from here, we see, okay, we have about 25,000 customers. So that will be the basis for our journey. So if I go to journey here, and I'm going to start a new journey. And this time, I'm going to look for that travel subscription audience. And let's, for the purposes of showing something different, maybe we'll run this on a schedule. And maybe we'll schedule it to start, let's say, Friday the 13th sounds a little too suspicious. So let's do it for this Friday. And we have a lot of sort of customizability with the frequency. You can do it on various different schedules. So let's guess we'll do it weeklies on Friday. And we can have it run continuously, or maybe we want to schedule an end date, and maybe that will be the end of this year, or maybe before the holidays. So let's call it Friday 20th as the holidays. And again, won't go into the additional settings here, but that's just kind of another more detailed view of what you can do in terms of actually scheduling the journey. And again, we'll name this journey so we can save it and save our progress. So we'll call it travel subs apparel cross-sell. Hit save. All right. And now we'll essentially continue that process of building out our journey. And for kind of showing what else is possible here, we're actually going to split these up because maybe we want to experiment and see what's the most effective way to engage this cross-sell audience. So you can hit experiment here, drag it in. And here's where you can kind of create those, like, it can be a 50-50 split in terms of a maybe A-B type structure. You could go 80-20, 90-10. But you also have a little bit more frequency, a little bit more flexibility too. So in this case, we might do something like, we'll do a holdout of 10%, and then we'll do 45-45. And so that'll add up to 100. And we can also rename these splits. And so essentially when we connect this to the audience, maybe we'll call this, let's call it Google Ads. And maybe we'll call this Facebook. And when I connect this to the audience entry node, what GrowthLoop will do in the background is split these groups into 10%, 45, and 45, a random split to help you kind of create this experiment. And we will also write back these groups to your data warehouse. So you yourself can track which exact customers are landing within these groups. So that's kind of the first start, which is actually just kind of creating these groups. And then we want to actually run them through those destinations. So as before, we'll create different destination nodes, and each of them will correspond. So let's say the control, we can either say, the control, we won't actually do anything to them. We'll kind of leave them be to help measure that control, to measure the impact. But the Google Ads team or Google Ads group, we will actually send them to Google Ads. So we'll hit this one. Again, we'll call it a name. So we'll call it apparel cross-sell. And we'll just call it 1. And you'll see we have different match fields because it's destination dependent. So we have a lot of options here when it comes to Google in terms of what fields we send over to Google to help match. In this case, we'll just use email. And when I connect that, it'll be similar to what we saw with Braze, where GrowthLoop splits up these groups and sends this 45% over to Google Ads. And we'll make sure these are distinct groups, so there's no overlap between these two groups. And for this one, I believe it was Facebook that we were going to choose. And we'll call it travel. I think we called it apparel cross-sell. I'll call it FB2. And again, similar to Google Ads, but a little bit more unique to Google or to Facebook. We have different match fields that we can use, and we connect them over to Facebook. And so now we have a different kind of cross-channel campaign that we are running, and we're also running it on different platforms. And with this control group, we can help measure kind of our uplift that we're looking for. And from there, the steps can be, we bring in a delay node. So maybe I'll just focus on one branch here, but you can continue to build out the branch for each path here. But let's say we surface an ad, we retarget that audience in Google, then we wait 1 week, and then we might check to see with our criteria node, we check to see if they've actually, if they've actually transacted. And so in this case, we would be using the dataset transactions. So we bring in GL transactions, and we perform more than 0 where the, where the product type is equal to apparel. And so now that creates our easy sort of yes, no criteria. And we can connect that as we have before. And then again, in terms of defining whether it's a yes or a no, maybe we would send one final email if they still haven't converted. And so maybe we would set up a destination, and we could set that as Braze, for example, to be maybe our kind of last ditch default platform that we would use to actually engage that potential customer to cross-sell. So you can see this is how we kind of try to implement the composable, tool agnostic customer journey. You can choose whatever tools you already use. You're tapping into your sort of source of truth for customer data, your company data warehouse. You can segment it into that entry audience, not using, you don't have to write SQL, you can just use our no-code editor. And you can set up this conditional logic within journeys, split it up into experiments if you'd like, create delay nodes, create different criterias, and essentially coordinate between these different destinations. So you don't have to kind of measure that out sort of individually within each channel as a marketer, but actually evaluate within GrowthLoop how customers are converting through each channel. And also, if you'd like and prefer, we write back this data into your customer data warehouse if you have in-house analytics that you work with as well. So let me just save this just to keep track of the progress. But that's pretty much the scope of today.